Bill Levinson, Managing Partner with Levinson and Associates. And with us today, we have a very special call, and we have some special guest speakers joining us today. We're doing things a little different. So if you've been on the previous mortgage protection lead webinars or trainings, you're going to see a few different questions and answers, different topics, some new additions to Levinson and Associates. So we have a little bit of something for everybody. Okay, great stuff to come. Very excited about this. As always, take out a pen and paper, jot down questions, comments. We'd like to hear anything positive, negative, so we can always make these bigger and better for our agents that are out in the field. So that is our goal, and our promise to you is always to make things bigger and better. So a few of our guest speakers I'll just touch on quickly. We have, of course, Joseph Loughran, our Marketing Vice President. We have Stephen, who actually created the Mortgage Protection Lead Program with Levinson. So he's joining us today. And then we have a special guest speaker who is a successful agent of ours out of Texas and happens to be on vacation right now, and regardless, thought it was important enough to join in on today's call and give his insight and some tips and pluses and minuses about the LEAD program. But, you know, we all thought it was important enough that it would be great, especially for you guys and girls that are out in the field, to hear from a real-life agent who's out there using the program day in and day out. So we really appreciate Ken taking time out of his busy day, to, especially being on vacation, to join us today. And I'll also mention before we jump in, if you are interested, okay, Ken is available where he can help you with some one-on-one coaching, or if you have an agency, it's definitely a co-opportunity deal where we pay part of the cost, and then you can work something out with Ken for the difference. So if you're interested in that, also let us know. Okay, so moving forward, what we're going to do also is everybody on today's webinar receives, we have sales scripts that will help you be literally a sales professional when selling life insurance supplemental products over the phone. So we have full scripts that talk about cross-selling and then life insurance in general that we will email out to everybody on the call. So you'll get a thank you email. We'll include different brochures and marketing pieces, and then, of course, these sales scripts just as a bonus. Now, you do have to be appointed with us, so if you're actively contracted with us, you will receive that email. If not, you will not get the email, but just give us a call, and we can get you set up, and we'll send you that email, of course, at no charge. Okay, so we're going to jump right in here. We have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. We also, I'm sure you've heard or seen by now, we were just on the cover of Insurance Newsnet magazine. We were awarded the fastest growing life insurance IMO in 2017. So couldn't be any more excited, and we know who brought us to the dance, and we don't forget that. We would never be in this position if it wasn't for our agents, and that's everybody on this call. We truly thank you for helping us get to this level. And we're not stopping here, folks. We're only getting bigger and better with new technology, new training, new lead programs, great stuff to come. We're also going to give you some insight by the end of today's call and show you what's coming in the end of July and early August. So great new stuff to come. Okay, so what has worked, and it's been awesome over the last 4 to 5 years now, is our Mortgage Protection Lead program. And Ken was one of the pilot agents who helped us roll this out. And, you know, like everything else, before we put our stamp of approval on something, we have to make sure that these things are tested and that we have literally proven the process to make sure we can roll this out to our agents. And, you know, I think it sounds easier said than, of course, done, because, we've had things in the past that were great, and then we've had other things that didn't work out so great. Okay, and we always try to make sure we do our proper due diligence before we roll out anything. Most of the time it works great. There's been a few times where it hasn't worked so great. Lead programs as a whole, okay, we know this, and when I say we, I'm speaking for everybody on the call. They are very difficult to come by, okay? We've heard the promises, the great stories on, why this lead program is so great and how they're exclusive and they're not shared. And, of course, in a very short time, we find out 5 to 10 agents have the same lead. They're charging our agents credit cards week after week. We can't get them to stop until we send a letter. It's been a nightmare, okay? And I know our agents go through the same thing, okay? So finally, after years and years, we came up with the Mortgage Protection Lead Program with Stephen, okay? He's been at the wheel heading up this whole project, and it has worked great. And the proof is in the pudding. And just to, if you want to just sit back and think about this for a minute, it's going on now for almost 5 years. We don't make a penny on this program. In fact, it costs us money to have you participate in the program. So the only thing that we're relying on is business to get written from you. That's obviously how we make our money. So if there's no apps that get written, we're actually in the red. Okay, so the other part of this is our agents all pay to participate in the program. So there is no agent that I know that's going to keep spending $18 a lead every single week if they're not getting sales. So you would have seen this program come and go in just a few short months, but here we are going into year 5, still going strong. Not only are we going strong, we're going to be at over $1 million of lead sales this year, okay? And that's not even our business, okay? All we do is make this available to our agents. We don't make a penny on that $1 million. So here we are offering a great solution to our agents, and we're going to be at over $1 million of lead sales for 2017. That's our run rate right now, and it's only going up every year. So that is the proof. That's how I know the program's working, because agents are coming back. And even today, we have almost 200 people on this webinar, okay? Plus, we have agencies that are webcasting in the program. So it could be up to 300-400 people on today's call. So the program works. And I'm not going to sell you or give you some kind of pitch. And again, we don't make a penny on the program. It costs us money for you to participate. So we're relying on you that you're going to make sales from the program, okay? So that is the proof. It's black and white. So I'm going to touch on a few bullets, and then I'm going to invite Stephen on, who's going to give you a quick overview, and then we're going to jump in to Kent, because he's actually, I believe he's in his RV right now, and like I said, he's on vacation, so we don't want to take up too much of his time either. Okay, so real quick, I'll mention a few bullets. These are truly not shared leads. They are exclusive to you, the agent that is purchasing them. Okay, now that doesn't mean that a prospect didn't fill out, 2 mailers or 3 mailers, and maybe a few different companies are calling. Doesn't happen a lot, but I have heard that. But what we're promising to you is this particular lead and this particular mailer are only sold to you, and that's our promise to you. Okay? Minimum order of leads is 14 every week. Okay? What's so great is with every order you get between 2 and 4 free leads. Okay? That's big. Okay? That brings your lead cost way down. Again, lead cost $18 per lead, 2 to 4 free leads with every batch. And you can see below there in the blue graph, 14, 17, and 20, and that shows you how many free leads that you're going to get. Every order is placed on Monday, and you receive your leads by the following Tuesday, okay? So before the end of the next day on Tuesday, you'll have an email with all of your leads, and I suggest you literally reach out that evening. But we'll have Kent tell us a little more about that. Okay, so Number one, on the bottom there, like I said earlier, if you don't place any business or it doesn't come back through Levinson, first of all, you're disqualified from the program, and I hope that never happens. Okay, and B, we are in the red because, like I said, this is a co-op program that cost us dollars, hard, real dollars, to have you participate. So please make sure any and all business gets placed through Levinson. Very, very important. And if there's a certain product that you think maybe we don't have, that it's proprietary, let us know. 9 out of 10 times we have the product and we beat your existing commissions regardless, and you get that cash for contracting incentive above and beyond. So it's a win-win all the way around. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to jump in and invite our lead program creator, Stephen, on. And I have 2 questions to ask Stephen, and then we're going to jump in to Kent before he gets to his destination. So first of all, I want to thank Stephen for joining us today and talking to our agents. We have a record number on today, which is awesome. Just, real quick, Stephen, if you don't mind, I want to ask you 2 questions. The first one is what motivated you to create this lead program? And then I have a second part to that question, if you will.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate the time. Am I coming through crystal clear?
Yep, it sounds great.
Okay. And I'd like to thank all the agents that are listening in today. I know we're all pretty busy with our work schedules, and especially thank Kent for making his appearance. It's a great thing to have him on. I want to just give you a little quick history. The Mortgage Lead Program is something that I personally got involved in as an end user back in the late 90s. It's close to 19, 20 years ago. And I was a believer in that market from the very start, personally, because you're dealing with people who have a need. They bought a new house or they've refinanced, but nonetheless they have a new mortgage. And by and large also have the ability to pay, which is important. They can afford to pick up a new cost item in their lives, like this insurance. So that attracted me to this, and the most important thing to me was the creation of new prospects. It enabled me every week in and week out, and I did this religiously as an end user. Okay, I didn't take a week off. I was there every week getting leads, and it provided me with a steady stream of new prospects, of new doors that I could open and enter into. It certainly gave me a lot of carryover people. People I wasn't able to reach right away, or certainly a lot of follow-up work. So I was extremely busy with my mortgage protection program as an end user. Now, what was over time, I found that there were some clear shortcomings for me personally. I felt that each batch that I was ordering each week had at least several throwaways. Could have done by age, maybe the mortgage amount. A lot of situations where if you have a couple, one of them is 75 and the other one is 85. So there was problems there. There was also problems with some obvious things with what could be underwriting problems. For instance, with some of the information that you have there besides the ages, you also have, in a lot of cases, heights and weights. So I found that there were situations that, it was just part of what it was. I said, okay, well, if I'm getting 20 leads this week and I'm throwing away 5, 6, 7 of them, that's just the cost of doing business, because I was able to do very, very well on the remaining leads that I had, that I was ordering and paying for. Okay, I mean, I didn't get any any compensation from the vendors that I was dealing with if they were leads that to me were just, throwaways. It's just how it was. And so those are the things that I said that if I could ever be in a position to, that's what I would want to do, is to provide leads that each and every one of them, at least on paper, because we don't know what's behind these leads, but each and every one of them at least shows a good possibility of success. So that was that's what motivated me to create this program, to try to smooth out those rough edges that I had to deal with myself, and be able to be the vendor and the creator of a program that I felt I could be proud of and that I could see some real success from, because now when you're ordering, be it 15 leads, 20 leads, or what have you, each and every one of them gives you the best shot. And I felt it was important, again, for the purpose of success for each agent that's ordering, to provide a few extra leads. So depending on the amounts that you're ordering, you're getting anywhere from 2 to 4 extra leads on each batch, which covers maybe some problem with the phone number, but more than likely some people who will never pick up their phone to answer it. At least that sort of levels the field as to what you've ordered, to what you can actually connect with these people. Okay, so that's really what motivated me. I have said all along over these years that each and every lead that we put out is a lead that I myself would say, yeah, this is certainly an adequate lead or better, and I don't put out any leads that we see up front is a throwaway. So I hope that helps as far as clearing up what kind of leads we're talking about.
Yeah, no, that's great. And one thing I'll add, if you're an agent listening to us right now, you're hearing me speak, you're hearing Stephen speak, and you're going to hear Kent talk a little bit about the program. And, the proof in the pudding is when you try out your first batch and you sell on the average, let's say 2 to 3 out of every batch, and let's say you keep ordering and you land a few nice deals like Kent has that are, $10, $20, $30,000 of premium, that's when the rubber meets the road. So me, Ken, and Steve can talk till we're blue in the face, okay? But if these leads are no good, obviously it doesn't matter. But if you get a couple nice hits out of a batch of 14, and then you order a few times and you pop a nice grand slam, then all of a sudden it all makes sense. And I know for a fact, and I would never say this, we have way too much to lose. We've been around since 1972, so we have to be very careful. But I promise you this, okay, I don't know if it's going to happen with your first batch, but if you stay consistent, you order a few batches, 2, 3, 4, week after week, or a few times a month, you will hit the nice one. I promise you. I've seen Ken do it, and I've seen other agents do it. I can't mention their names out of confidentiality, but we have seen it happen. So I know they're out there. It's just a matter of you putting in the time and being consistent. Okay, obviously it's an investment in your business. So, you have to make that decision at the end of the day. Okay, so I have one last question for Stephen, and then we'll move on to Kent's part of the presentation. So just the last thing here is, when you put this together, what did you have in mind to accomplish and by creating this program? Like, obviously you want to help our agents and, everybody wins, but what was your goal, and what was the real reasoning behind all of this, and where would you like to see it go?
Well, I suppose what I was aiming to do with creating this new and improved lead program was to provide each and every ordering agent, as I said before, to know that they have in their hands, and you mentioned and I know Ken talked from his own experience, that there will be absolutely some real gold mines in these leads. I mean, I could take hours with my own experience in the past about how a simple mortgage lead became a huge case or cases and referrals for other cases. You know, the greatest thing about the insurance business is we're self-employed, okay? We don't have much overhead. This is overhead, okay? This is our inventory. We buy leads. We stock our shelves with these leads, okay? And for me, I wanted to make sure that this well-stocked shelf that each and every agent has is a steady stream. As I said before, as far as knowing that you've got a week's amount of work on new leads, which is the first thing you should do as soon as you get your lead orders back to you, and the follow-ups and the carryovers from other weeks. And the magnificent thing about this, and I speak from my personal experience, is busy. This will keep you busy. You know, I can say this. I can say to you agents, well, it's a good way to supplement your already existing business, and supplement obviously your income. I will tell you, this was for me my primary income. Now, of course, I work referrals and things like this, but most 90% of what came to me was from the offshot of the lead program that I was paying for. And that's what I had in mind for the agents. Keep you men and women busy, okay? And the most wonderful thing about this, and just quickly to know where I'm coming from with this, is if you are or not aware of this, you know, we hit a real estate slump. We hit where the real estate market pretty much exploded after it hit its pinnacle back in 2006, 2007. And it took a tremendous drop. I'm speaking certainly primarily from Florida, but a good many other states. And you saw anywhere from 30 to 50% drops in mortgages. And it killed the mortgage market. You know, I mean, I had to look around, and where I was comfortable getting all these leads every week, they were drying up. Well, what's happened over the years now is the mortgage market has come back. It's as strong as it was back in the late 90s and early 2000s when I was making a ton of money. But here's what's even better. See, I was limited because the leads I bought, I had to stay within certain zip codes, certain counties, because, you know, I mean, and there were weeks that I know my vendor was sending me some stuff that maybe they would have preferred not to, but they wanted to fill leads, they wanted to get paid. The wonderful thing today is over these last 4 or 5 years, with the advent of e-apps and drop tickets, none of us are restricted by distance or by territory. You know, the telephone is our best friend in the insurance business. And for any of you that are comfortable with e-apps and drop tickets, this is tailor-made. For any of you that aren't quite comfortable yet with it, get in with it, get familiar with it, get comfortable with it, because this is where you're going to make your money. I can tell you that these leads, by and large, and that's excluding some very, very well-populated areas in this country, but the vast majority of areas don't have enough people in that zeroed-in territories to fill an order. But people are doing extremely well because they're taking advantage of the new technology that were offered in the insurance business through e-apps and drop tickets. And that's what's made this lead program just explode for the agents.
Agree. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Anything else you want to close with, Steve, before we move forward?
Nope. I want to give Kent as much time as he needs.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, Steve. Okay. And then Kent is going to come on now, and then right after he's done, we're going to talk about a new live voice transfer lead. We're going to talk about our orphan lead program, and then we have a special 3-part training series by our direct-to-consumer professional, Todd Ewing, which we'll talk about, and we can always send that out if you're interested as well. So without further ado, I want to jump into the main part of our presentation. We are delighted to have Kent join us today. We're going to ask him just a few questions here. We don't want to take too much of his time, but we wanted to ask questions that we're hearing from our agents that are out in the field. So we're going to skip around a little bit in no specific order. The first one, Kent, is when you have the client on the phone, you know, what's an easy way, or what works for you? How do you cross-market or cross-sell and bring up other products, not just mortgage protection term, but critical illness, disability, annuities, without sounding too pushy or too much like a used car salesman? Do you have any tips?
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill, Steve, and Joe. Appreciate you guys getting me on here. If you guys hear some background noise, just bear with me. I'm en route. I've got a 12-hour drive, so hang with me.
Okay.
I think one of the things that everybody needs to understand is it's very important and relevant up front to ask a lot of questions. And when you ask questions, you build relationships, and that's what we're in as a relationship business. We're in the money-making business, but first and foremost, we're here to make relationships happen. And when you do that, and you listen to people talk, it opens up opportunity. So, you know, I always go into a conversation asking many, many questions about a person, because you become real and it becomes a relevant conversation down the road for questions such as, well, have you ever thought about what would happen if, you know, you got cancer and your family couldn't depend on your income? Or, you know, always use the lead in of, have you ever thought about something, what would happen to your family? Secondly, I'd like to say that the more you ask early, again, I'll repeat this, the more you ask early in the conversation, the more you know, so you have more information that you can ask questions from than just shooting from the hip and trying to be too pushy, as Bill said. So finally, I'll close on that question with, I always ask, one of my biggest topics in my business is succession planning. Succession planning is used in my world of prospecting business owners, but understand what succession planning is. It really has to do with families. It has to do with, do you have a will? You know, one of the things that I do that's quite non-intimidating to a client is ask them if they have a will. You know, I'm not in the business to write their will, and I don't make any money, but I'm asking it as a sincere question. With that question comes a sincere relationship, which they will take and allow you to ask more questions, because what you're doing is you're getting their trust by asking questions that has nothing to do with you making money. So I would just talk about succession planning to them, and they may ask you, well, what is succession planning? Well, it's about planning your future and the success of your family in the event that there's a premature death or a premature illness that occurs in your life. So, Bill, I hope that addresses some of the things that people want to hear.
No, that's perfect. And like you said, I love what you said in the beginning. Just ask questions. Keep the dialogue going. And I think that's going to lead you in the right direction. Even by accident, you're going to wind up talking about critical illness or cancer or disability, and tons of money to be made with obviously providing the term, especially simplified issue term product to protect the mortgage, but then various riders or other products as well. I mean, you can wind up making $5,000 to $7,000 of annual premium and first-year commissions with one call. So it could go on and on and on. All right, so the second question here, and we get this all the time, so I figured if we have the master on himself and have him answer this, that would be even better. So the question we get is, you know, how soon, so as soon as our agents are getting their email containing their leads, how soon do you call or text the leads after you get the email? And then I have a second part to that question. So as soon as you get them, are you all over it that night, or do you wait till the next day, or what does your system look like, Ken?
Sure. I'm all over it that night, to be honest. But for the record, Bill knows this, and Joe and Steve know. I speak the truth, and I don't sugarcoat any of my conversation. But you're probably not going to get a hold of a lot of people. You may be lucky to get a hold of one person. So I like to be real when I speak to all the agents out there, because this is not an easy business to build. But if you invest in it and you're willing to put the effort and be consistent, there is money in it. However, the first night is just a kind of I'll call it a warm-up. You're swinging a bat. I'm an old baseball player, so you're swinging the bat, trying to just get warm. And if you get somebody, great, but just know that, you're going to have to make 10 or 12 phone calls at least, and try to get somebody on the phone. And you're going to have to try to do the AM, the early morning, 8 o'clock call, the noon call, the 3 o'clock call, the 8:30 p.m. call, and the Saturday morning call. You're going to have to find out the habits and the lifestyle of your clients, because everybody has a routine, and you've got to find whose routine, what their timeline is. And when you find out when you can find them, you better write it down, because everybody, if you think about yourself, you pretty much do the same thing week in and week out at the same time. Once you find out when and what phone number you can reach somebody, that will happen on o'clock if you got a hold of them on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. So keep good records, because that's habits of people.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And the last part here is, how many times do you follow up? So let's say if there's no answer, or the prospect is saying, you know what, we're too busy right now. When do you just say enough is enough and you move on to the next batch, or put it away, or do you never put that lead away until it's sold or someone basically hangs up on you?
Well, yeah, the answer is both. What you're going to do is you're going to call 10 or 12 times, and you're going to give it your best effort, but you're going to file it away, because what's going to happen is they're going to get barraged with a lot of different agents trying to reach them. I mean, it's no secret that, these are very special leads that we get from Steve, but yet it's no secret that other people are going to get their hands on them and make phone calls. So what you do is you give it your best effort, and you try to go after them like a tiger. But at the end of the day, after about 10 or 12 attempts, and I mean, very good attempts, not just dialing the number and giving up, you're going to give it a 30-day rest, because what you're going to do is you're going to let all the other agents and the phone calls settle down. Because if they're avoiding you, they're going to avoid all the other agents, and you just let it all kind of simmer down. And the strategy behind it is you surface when everybody else goes away, because that's what happens. Everybody gives up, and then all of a sudden you put it on your Outlook calendar. In 30 days, you're going to call this one person back. You have a high chance of catching them off guard, because they're not expecting you at that point.
Yep, that's great. And I think what else makes you really stand apart from the rest is back to number one. It's building that dialogue, being real, being honest, and creating almost a friendship over the phone. Which, if you're willing to be honest and talk, like, just be yourself and don't pretend, I think that you can achieve that. And I think Ken does that great. There's no one better than him, but I think that works a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yep. Oh, yep. Okay. All right. So, and then we have this, the second to the last here. So when you get your leads, when they come in, I'm sure you have some type of sales model. Do you have a system where you call first, and then do you send out a text message as a warm up? Do you send an email, and then of course do you send out a hard copy mailer as well if you have all of that information?
Well, I make the phone call. I'm aggressive on my phone call, and then I will send a text if I don't get a response by a phone call. I would highly recommend the texting. It works really well, and I've heard very many success stories on the texting, so I would encourage everyone that's comfortable with that to do it. But the phone call is my primary tool of choice, but I don't typically, well, I have to ask them for an email address, obviously, because that doesn't come with the lead that we get. But once you get the email address, you obviously want to start some dialogue with them and try to create that relationship through email, because you want to find out how that person feels comfortable with communication. It's either the phone, it's either texting, or it's email. It's one of the three. So you have to figure that out. You have to always question what is the best source of communication to deal with this particular client, because we all know each client is very different.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then one more thing I'm going to add. These days, your business card is your website. So especially when selling over the phone, a lot of people want to know who they're dealing with. So they're going to say, oh, by the way, do you have a website? And then make sure that website looks professional. That is your storefront, your brick and mortar storefront. So if you need help with that, we have all of that figured out. We have a nice platform that's completely turnkey as well. So just let us know. Okay, one other, before we come to the last question here, I just want to elaborate on one point Kent made. When he was talking about various agents calling that same prospect, you have to picture a lot of times this client or prospect will purchase a new home or refi. They get 10, 15, 20 different mortgage protection mailers. Okay, and some look different, some say different things on them, and they might fill out 2, 3, or 4 of these not even realizing it. Okay, so obviously there's going to be a bunch of agents at the door, including you. So that's where you're going to have to differentiate yourself, just like Ken was saying. Okay, but always know, too, ours are 100% exclusive. So that particular mailer is only sold to you, and that's our promise on all sides. Okay, the last question, and my personal favorite, because this comes up probably every other day, is what objections do you typically hear? And then, of course, how do you handle those objections? So if you want to pick just a couple, that would be great, Ken.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the top 3 that I think might be used for you guys. I've already talked to an agent, and he or she is coming to my home. Well, that's a wonderful objection, and everybody sees it as, I'm going to move on to the next person. No, what you want to do is say, hey, that's great that you talked to another agent and they're going to come visit you, but how would you like me to give you instant quotes right now with no obligation to purchase? I'm an agent that believes that communication over the phone and in today's technology that we can, talk about this very effectively and efficiently, quickly, instead of delaying, 15 or 20 days. Are you against me providing you with quotes over the phone? They always say it's okay to give them quotes over the phone. Give them quotes over the phone. Once you give them quotes, you've created a relationship. Guess what? In the very end of the conversation, you might suggest that they just cancel that meeting that they had with that agent coming to their home. Listen, you're in a game of competition here. You have to be competitive. You have to want to win, and you have to do some things that are going to basically win you the deal. I'm not saying that you are going to slide other agents, and I'm just saying that you've got to be the most aggressive, kick butt person on that phone, because if you don't, someone else will. The second objection I will bring up is, well, that insurance is just too expensive. I would encourage you to undersell people. Most of the time, agents will recommend that are consulting to tell you to upsell, and you always want to sell different products to people after conversation. But when people are saying things are too expensive, undersell them. Go back and just get some basic insurance, because what I find is when someone comes back approved, for instance, as a preferred plus, when they originally were quoted preferred or standard, they're going to buy more insurance anyway, because they're younger than they'll ever be, and they're getting the best possible rate possible in underwriting. So you're going to want to undersell the product a little bit when you're on the phone. So don't be too anxious to sell them the most expensive product out there. Get their business first, because when you get their business, you've got their trust, and then you can build from that. And the third, I will say, is someone might say that they're not insurable. Well, there are people that are insurable, that's obvious, but I know that Levinson is one of the best agencies out there that would take on most of the challenging health issues. So I would encourage everyone to never close the case until you actually go to Levinson and ask questions with regards to their health. So get all the health information you can. I'll close with a lead that happened to me, it was about 1.5 years ago, and it created a nice income for me of about $2,600 a month. Well, recently we got another $3,900 a month approved on the same person. If you do the math, I think it comes close to about, I think, $85,000, $90,000 that happened from one of these mortgage leads. So I say that very humbly. I say it because home runs don't happen all the time. Most of the time you're going to hit singles and doubles, and there'll be a lot of strikeouts. But I would encourage everyone to know that if you just are willing to sell the small insurance policies, the big ones will happen. I wish everybody the best, and I hope that you guys have a great summer and continue to focus on this program because there is opportunity in it. And thanks, everybody, for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Kent. Great job, as always. And like I said, he is available offline as well. So if you're interested in some one-on-one coaching with Kent, let us know, and we will make that connection for you. Okay, and just one last thing before we move forward. I'm going to elaborate on one thing that Kent said. There will never be a client that you're going to come across that we don't have a solution or policy for. So keep that in mind, okay? We have complete, zero-question, guaranteed issue life insurance. And sometimes those are the real high-dollar cases where you can make a nice commission hit and no other agents are willing to help them. So always know that in the back of your mind. We have a solution for 99.9% of the prospects out there, okay? So just remember that. The last thing I'll mention, another great idea, and I know Kent mentioned this a little bit, if you're running out of steam, you have the client on the phone, another great angle is to say, hey, by the way, you know, let's say the term case, it's a 20-year term, $250,000 to protect your mortgage. And if you want, what we can do, let's pretend you're talking to the prospect here, we can set this application up completely COD. So there's no obligation on your end, Mr. Client. Okay, I can send you the application, or we can do it over the phone. We can writing, we'll pay for your exam at no charge to you. Then after we get the approval, that's when you can decide, Mr. Client, if I want to take the policy or not. And at that point, if you decide to, that's when you write your monthly or annual premium check to the carrier. And if you decide to say, I change my mind, you are not responsible for a penny. We move forward. Everyone's still friends. So that's another great angle if you see that you're really not getting anywhere. And I know a lot of prospects will say, oh, COD, you know what? Let's give it a shot. So you can jot that down and use that, of course, in the future. Okay, so Joe is going to take it from here. We have some great stuff to talk about with our lead reimbursement program, our orphan policyholder program. We have our Todd Ewing 3-part training series. Todd Ewing is the top direct-to-consumer consultant in the industry, okay? And we paid him to come in and put together a 3-part training just for our agents. Of course, no charge to you. So if you're interested in that, let us know. But this is everything that he talks about. Okay, we'll move forward with Joseph Lochran. Joe?
Thanks, Bill. I'm going to highlight a couple resources that are really specific to the LEAD program. The first of which is what you're looking at now, which is our LEAD reimbursement program. This is a way, another way that we actually help offset the cost of these leads. So very simple here. You order leads. If you write and place any policy that was actually sourced through this mortgage lead program, we actually reimburse you for the lead cost of every placed policy. So we have some agents that have been using this lead program for years, and we're constantly sending them the reimbursement. So if you write just one case, you know, you'll get a check for $18, but obviously, like Ken said, there's a lot more sales than just one off of a lead batch. The next slide here is a sample lead. This is actually what the lead looks like. I wanted to make sure everybody sees. I know we mentioned earlier on the call, a lot of times you'll see the borrower and the spouse or the partner as the co-borrower. It's going to have the address, the mortgage amount. It's going to have their date of birth, height and weight, information on smoking status. And what's really important here, I know Ken mentioned this earlier, you see the phone number and the cell phone number at the very bottom. Like he mentioned, sending a text to that client, just saying, hey, you know, wanting to get in touch, whatever the message is, really goes a long way. And we hear a lot of great stories on agents that use that cell phone number to actually reach out to those leads and make that extra step to make sure that they're in communication with that client. So that's just an idea of what a sample lead looks like. Of course, as Ken mentioned, if you're having a challenge looking for the right product or program, give our marketing team here a call. We'll actually run through all the different products. A lot of times there'll be different underwriting incentives or table shape programs that we'll think about that you won't normally see in any quote engine. So that's always a great plus to be able to jump in and use those additional resources here at the office. Of course, Bill mentioned the actual lead scripts. These will be emailed out at the end of today's call. Over on the left-hand side there, mortgage lead, frequently asked questions. These are actually compiled from all of our different webinars where we ask a lot of questions about how producers handle objections. Those will be emailed out to you. In the middle, we have a term and final expense script. It's a sample script you can use. And then on the right-hand side, the ultimate cross-selling close. So whether you're pivoting from regular term insurance to disability insurance to critical illness or cancer insurance, that's a great script to be able to have on hand to be able to make sure you're not leaving any business on the table. In addition to that, Bill mentioned the 3-part telesales training webinars. Those are available. We can email you out those YouTube links. And then a great thing to go along with those, like Bill mentioned, Todd Ewing was that telesales expert that actually had that 3-part webinar series. We'll also send a great marketing PDF, which is actually the 7 Habits to Telesales Mastery. I speak to a lot of different agents that are both new in the business and veterans, and this is always a great tool to brush up on to be able to actually kind of sharpen or hone your skills when it comes to telesales, because depending on the type of client, the demographic, the generation, there's always going to be some tweaks that you can do to that telesales script to actually close more business. So this will be emailed out again at the end of today's call. One great thing that we put together on the website here, depending on the product and whether it's a fully underwritten product or a simplified issue product, believe it or not, we have a lot of carriers just in the last 6 months to a year that have actually rolled out some streamlined underwriting programs that actually go up to $1 million of death benefit. Now, a couple years ago, if you looked at non-med plans, you would notice that there is a much higher increase in the premium that client's going to have to pay because the carrier is taking on a higher risk to insure this person without a regular paramed exam. But that's all changed just in the last year. We have companies like American National, Principal, John Hancock, Lincoln that'll actually go up to $1 million of coverage. The client's paying the same exact premium as if they were fully underwritten, and we've seen up to $1 million get issued in about 72 hours. So if you're interested, we have a section of KerryLevinson.com which is going to actually be underneath the product tab. You'll see I've highlighted it in blue. It says simplified issue / non-med plans. That'll actually give you access to every single one of the carriers. You can click on the link and actually see a drill down that'll show you how those products work. You can quote them right from the home page or even call the marketing team and ask what product might work best. And then I'm going to actually hand it back off to Bill to go over the new live transfer lead program that we're rolling out.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Yes, so brand new for 2017, new for Levinson and our agents is a brand new system here. Now, we are going through the due diligence phase right now. We're just about finalized. We're going to be rolling this out within a couple weeks. You'll see an email go out to everyone on the call and all of our agents, and we're launching the first ever exclusive Levinson live transfer leads. Now, this is exactly what it sounds like, okay? The way it works, you basically clock in and tell the system, hey, I'm going to be on from 2 to 4 p.m. And then the third-party vendor qualifies these leads for you, okay, gets you on the line, and everything's recorded. This way, there's no leads that where you can go back and say, oh, these weren't qualified, or this client is, 350 pounds at 5'2", which obviously means you're not paying for that lead. Everything is recorded, so you log on, you say, okay, 2 to 4, I'm going to be open to taking calls. And then as soon as your call comes in, the operator transfers you, so everybody's on together. You run the quotes, make the sale, and then you are charged once that lead has been qualified. Okay, and what's so neat about this, first of all, the pricing is great, not as good as our mortgage protection platform, okay, but these are qualified warm leads, real-time action here. So they're going to run between $30 and $40 roughly, and that all depends on how close the proximity is of these leads. So when you log on, you could say, okay, I'm in, let's say Fort Lauderdale, and I'm going to work the Tri-County area. Okay, the more you open your spread or proximity, the lead cost goes down. The tighter your proximity is, if you say, okay, I'm in Fort Lauderdale and I only want to work Broward County, then the lead cost goes up. But again, if you're good on the phone and you're good with e-apps and drop tickets, open that proximity, lead cost goes down, and your leads will increase. So this is a great new system. And the way that it works, we're going to launch this, like I said, in a few weeks. You'll see an email. So with your first order, okay, by being a Levinson agent, you have to be active with us to participate, you get a $200 credit with your first order. So that could be about 5 to 7 leads free at no charge with your first order. So great stuff with these live transfers. We are very, very excited about this. It's not used to be, let's say, placed instead of the mortgage protection mailer program. It is built to be used on top of that. So you're going to kind of have, one is going to be a little more expensive, but they're warm, ready to go. The other one's going to be a little bit less, but a little more work involved on your end. So great platforms to come. We're very, very excited about this. And this just goes along with our promise that we're always going to make Levinson bigger and better for our agents. Okay, with that said, we're almost done here. The Agency Automator is a great way to get 1,000 new prospects or leads every month at no charge, okay? And this is awesome. We have put this together. It's taken us about 18 months now, and the program works. This is a CRM tool on steroids, as I like to call it. So the way it works, you have two sides. Your left side manages all of your existing clients and prospects. The right side, that's your marketing dashboard. That's where you're going to go in and say, okay, I want to work Broward County, this zip code. I'm working the final expense market, and I want all prospects between ages 55 and 70 that make an annual household combined income of $100,000, and the system will spit out every single prospect that falls into that criteria. So then you go out and market to them with a mailer, phone call, email, whatever works for you. You have all of their data, all of their information. We have built-in marketing pieces for every part of our industry: health, life, annuities, supplemental products, you name it. Everything's already built in. We have webinars twice weekly that you can jump on for training, but this is a great way to build your database. As we know, it's a numbers game here, folks. So this is a great way to literally empty 1,000 new prospects into your database every single month. Okay, the program works, so it's up to you to get your arms wrapped around it. We do everything else for you. Okay, now some of our upcoming agent training events, which I highly encourage. It's so important. You know, this stuff sounds great, but 8 out of 10 times, you know, by the time a week goes by, you kind of forget about what we went over, and you know, to me that's a wasted hour of your time. So that's why I always say take out a pen and paper so you remember how important this stuff is, and jot down. This is our new agent training webinars that are upcoming. The Agency Automator, if you want to learn a little more, get your arms wrapped around the platform. Every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we have a live training with our co-creators. So a great time to jump in and understand how cool this platform is. Agency Automator Plus, that's the same thing, but that is built for you to recruit agents and build your downline with all of our marketing and lead programs and products. And you get to use our whole platform, go out, tell our story, and build your downline. So you can sit back and make overrides. So same concept as Agency Automator, but we call it Agency Automator Plus, used for recruiting agents to your own downline. So you could become a GA or MGA, if you will. Okay, Phoenix Life, we have an exclusive webinar on sales strategies for the new DOL updates and changes. That's on the 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then at the bottom there, North American just launched a brand new simplified issue, single premium IUL. So we're going to have a webinar that goes over the entire product on the 20th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Also, any downtime you have, weekends, late at night, early in the morning, jump on our YouTube channel. You can get there from our website or directly from YouTube, and you will see over 200 various trainings and webinars, and we have private coaching that we brought in to make all of these special presentations just for our agents. You can skip around by category. We have a sliding wheel that you can rotate through and stop it, whichever topic that you want to visit. So check all this stuff out. We built this for you, so obviously it's up to you to take advantage, train, learn, and take your practice to the next level. It's really that easy, but you have to put the time in. Okay, our last slide here, and I know we ran a little bit late here, but we're right before the hour, which is always a plus for us because I know we get a little excited. Okay, we're going to end with this. Okay, obviously we couldn't be more proud of what we have accomplished in 2017 and literally since 72. We were on the cover of Insurance Newsnet. That you can see, that's a picture of me and our company there, 2017's fastest growing life IMO. And again, we couldn't have done it without everyone on this call and all of our agents. So I like to do a little Positive Tuesday quote on our Facebook page. You can check us out. Just pull up Levinson and you will see us. And you'll see every single Tuesday I like to come up with something new. And we're going to end today's webinar with this Positive Tuesday quote. I love this one. Everyone is born with a special talent. It's up to you to figure it out, maximize it, and push it to the limit. That's exactly what we're all doing on today's webinar, and that's exactly what we're doing in this insurance industry, as crazy as it can be. With that said, have a great rest of the week, a good weekend, and great selling. Take care.